Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host Sean, and apologies for no live stream. Didn't quite work out with the live stream schedule today, but I've got a couple of videos that I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, so I thought I would jump on that and get that started now. So please hit that like button, please subscribe to the channel if you are new, and please check out the memberships if you want to learn how you can get involved in some of the content that we put out here on United vs. Everybody. So I posted a poll the other day regarding Amad Diallo, and I asked a simple question: where do you prefer him to play in Ruben Amorim's Manchester United system? This 3-4-2-1, 3-4-3, whatever you want to call it. The question was, where do you all prefer him to play? Because I value your opinions so highly. You know, this is the channel that's about your guys' opinions. So 60% of you decided that you thought that he was better as a right midfielder slash right wing back compared to one of the tens. Now, honestly, that was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be based on some of the responses that I got the other day when I put that question out there. So the results were pretty close. But that in itself shows just, I think, how good Ahmad is and how versatile he is, that he can play both of those positions very, very well in this system and be effective. But which one is he best at in this system? Is he better as a number 10, getting a little bit more involved in the nitty gritty, getting involved in the build-up, working in those tight areas? Or is he better in that right midfield, right wing back role where he's got some room to run, he's got some space to breathe, to see the pitch, and to kind of work some magic, dribbling in and around the box, trying to cut it on the left, things like that. So we're going to take a look at some of his performances under Ruben Amorim, compare them based on where he's played at on the pitch, and then take a look at his stats, comparatively speaking, with these. So the question is it even possible to know which of these positions that he's best at? Is it simply a matter of opinion? Is it eye test versus stats? Again, who knows? So you can guess where I'm going with this. We're going to take a look at that. So again, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new for me. Let's dive in first. Let's start with right wing back because this is what you guys wanted. So in Amorim's very first match in charge, Ipswich, Amorim played as a right wing back, bagged an assist. Right off the bat, probably a good way to make a good first impression with the new boss, right? Pitching with an assist and a big win. Everton was next. Now, Everton, he was man of the match, and he got 2 assists from that right wing back role. So again, making a good first impression right off the bat, right? And I remember that was that match that Xerxes got 2 goals as well. Following that, we saw Nottingham Forest, another assist. Now, we lost that match, but again, he did bag an assist. Southampton, I was at that Southampton match. Justin and I were there. It was all in all, it was a pretty dull match until for some reason Ahmad just showed up in the last 10 minutes and decided, you know what, we're not going to lose this, and I'm going to be the one to win this. He was man of the match because of a late hat trick. He completed 4 out of 5 dribbles that match. He only completed 1 out of 6 crosses, and he had no accurate long balls. But again, a late hat trick is going to clinch it no matter what. Rangers, Europa League. Again, nothing really of note there. Not really good on his crosses. Still, again, another 1 out of 6 crosses, only 2 out of 6 dribbles, 6 out of 11 duels. We're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here. And this is what's going to happen because Ahmad is a left-footed player playing on the right wing. And so what you're going to see from that is the same sort of thing we see from Antony, same sort of thing we see from Rashford, someone like Bale, someone like Arjen Robben, someone who is an inverted winger playing on that right side. He wants to cut in and shoot. And you see those 2 matches back to back like that. His crosses, 2 completed crosses out of 12 attempts is not very good. And this shows you that he wants to cut in. He wants to take the shot. And I've said a couple times now on the channel after a match that Ahmad tends to hold on to the ball a little too long. Now, whether that's him not being super comfortable putting a ball in with his right foot, or if he just wants to shoot, it doesn't matter. If he's not shooting from like the edge of the 18 with his left, he tends to hold on to it a little too long, and then the opportunity's kind of gone. So if he is going to play that ball, he needs to learn to get his head up a little bit. The only other time he came on as a right wing back was against Spurs. He came on as a substitute for Antony late on the match, and that was, I mean, it was a cup loss, but he actually did very, very well in that match. He came on as a sub, got a goal, got an assist as well. So what he's shown is that he does have a knack for kind of making an impact, for kind of finding a second win, for kind of taking the game by the scruff of the neck. He did that a couple times now, again, against Southampton, a match that we did not look very good in. And then for Spurs, it was a little too late against Spurs, but the evidence is there. As a right wing back, all in all, I might have 4 goals and 5 assists, and 2 times was voted man of the match under Ruben Amorim so far in those 5 or 6 matches or so. Not too shabby when you look at that. Moving on to number 10. So he's played there a few times as well under Ruben Amorim. First time, Victoria Pilsen in the Europa League. Now, again, what we see from these number 10s, whether it's Ahmad playing there, Zirkzee, Garnacho even, is oftentimes they're forced to drop a little deep into their own half sometimes to get the ball, because we just lack the defenders who can play those passes, who can build out. We lack enough deep-lying midfielders who can do something with the ball when they do drop deep. Eriksen can do it when he's got time and space. Bruno, we've seen, can do it, but other than that, we don't have a lot. Kabi's good in tight areas, but he doesn't have a passing range. Collier's is more of an Ander Herrera than he is anything else. Then Ugarte, obviously, his job is to win the ball. I'd love to see some of these players add a few more strings to their bow, but that's can only work with what I have so far. And what I have so far is that our 10s, Ahmad included, have to drop deep to pick up the ball. So again, Victoria Pilsen, more the same. Forced into more duels, forced into playing more balls long. City, again, he did bag a goal against City, and he did have the most dribbles in the match, and he did improve his duels. So again, what we saw against City is something that we've seen from United a lot, is that the whole team tends to get up for these bigger matches, and then they do tend to struggle against these sides that traditionally are, lower half of the table sides, but they do bring more fight, they do bring more physicality, because you turn around after the City match where Ahmad got a goal and we won that match, and a lot of his numbers improved. Go on to Bournemouth, and he did create 4 chances, but we still lost that match, and he overall struggled again. The physical battle is just something he doesn't excel at. And then when you take away that space on the right wing and force him to kind of play in the channel a little more centrally, have to drop deep a lot to be the one to get the ball, not the one to receive it and then dribble, he does struggle. Wolves, again, struggle with that physical battle. Lost the most duels in the match, did not complete a single dribble, no crosses, no long balls accurate. Newcastle, again, lost the most duels, not really getting involved in the game, very few touches. Again, not good. Now we switch it up again. You're going to see something we saw against City, against Liverpool. Again, played as a number 10, bagged a goal, completed 100% of his dribbles, his crosses, long balls. He didn't have to duel at all. He was just attack, create. So again, what's the difference there? Why did it work well against City? Why did it work well against Liverpool? Perhaps it was the way they played. Perhaps, like I said, the team overall gets up for these rivalries in a way that's just they can't do for other games, because then turn around again, Brighton. Now, he did create the most chances against Brighton in that number 10 role. Again, I was there for that match with Justin. Was not a good match for us. But he just wasn't able to move the ball. He only completed 20 passes. So just not doing a whole lot with it. Fulham, more of the same. Numbers-wise, again, just not really doing a whole lot with it. But he ended up being forced a little wide, which is exactly what Fulham try to get you to do. Palace, he did get into the box more against Palace in that number 10 role, but again, he had to fight. A lot of duels, a lot of tackling numbers, a lot of possession loss. It just doesn't do well when he gets kind of swarmed in those channels, swarmed in those tight areas, and doesn't have room to kind of move around a little bit, which is like the opposite of what you might think. You might think, okay, lower center of gravity, the ball sticks to him. Yes, but again, one player can only do so much against multiple midfielders, multiple defenders, especially when the players around him aren't getting into positions to receive the ball and help him out, which we do see a lot. Leicester, early February, that was his last match before his injury. Struggled to get into the box or even really get into any advanced positions. He was kind of seeing the most of the touches just inside Leicester's half, within that kind of inside right channel. Again, as a 10, you're just kind of where you're supposed to be, but Leicester were kind of sitting a little back a little bit. And again, as a result, he spent most of his time in a fight around that midfield area. 14 ground duels. He won 9 of them, made 3 tackles. But he also lost possession 13 times against Leicester before he got that injury. So when he's got to get into a fight, when he's got to not only hold the ball, win the ball, all that stuff, all in one moment, he does tend to struggle. He is a little smaller, yes, but again, the question is that a waste of what he can offer by playing him in that role? As a 10, he's only had 2 goals. Compare that to the 4 goals, 5 assists, 2 times man of the match he had as a right wing back. The difference is clear for everyone to see, right? The numbers sort of indicate that Ahmad offers more as a right wing back, as a right midfielder. But then it begs the question, why did Amorim start playing him as one of the 10s later on in that January, February before he got that injury? Their role in Amorim's system, the role isn't really limited to the 10. Is like there's no rule that says you have to stay central, you can't get wide, because we've seen Garnacho do that. Zirkzee gets wide. And then there's a reason that it's kind of referred to as that 3-4-3, even though it's not really. It's both and. But again, it's because the system asks for versatility. This is why I think someone like Rayan Cherki could do very well, because he can play on the right, also as a 10. Franco Mastantuono plays on the right, also plays in a 10. Haraldson at Lille plays on the left, also plays in the 10. Like you can do both. Dibbling, I've seen people talk about Dibbling just because of his dribbles numbers. Garnacho, Zirkzee in this system, they move wide often to kind of get the ball, receive the ball, whether it's a long ball or a switch of play. That's what they do. Perhaps maybe playing him as a 10, part of that maybe is freeing Ahmad from some of the defensive, the up and down duties that right wing back role requires sometimes. Maybe sometimes you want him to stay up there. I've said that a couple times too, is I wanted to see him more as a 10 before we started playing there, because I like the idea of keeping the better attacking players higher up the pitch as opposed to having them use a lot of energy and spend a lot of time tracking back. But then again, he still kind of has to drop deep to pick up the ball, right? Maybe that's the problem, is maybe it's the lack of the quality around him in this system, the quality playmaking, the quality ball progression around him from the other wing backs, from the center backs. Maybe he's forced. We've seen Bruno have to drop deep over the years because we just don't have those players. Maybe that's something playing into it as well that makes it so he's struggling when he does play as a 10. So we got Mazraoui, Dallo. I mean, they tend to play wingbacks when Ahmad does get pushed into that 10 role. And then with Dorgu's arrival, we saw more of the same. When Dorgu got here, Dorgu played on the right wing back. Ahmad was moved up to the 10 against that Leicester match. And so I think we might be seeing something moving more towards the 10 role. We wanted Giovanni Quenda. We're strongly linked with Roger Fernandez. I saw some news today, I think it was from Graham Bailey, claiming that we've actually reached out to the representatives of Jeremy Frimpong. So maybe, again, sometimes it's not about looking at what you see in front of you. Sometimes it's about looking at everything else that's going around you. Look at the transfer business we've done. Look at who we've already brought in January. Amorim said Dorgu can also play on the right. I think that is maybe an indication that Ahmad's role in this system, at least maybe in Ruben Amorim's eyes, is one of those 10s. He was excellent as a roaming 10 during his loan at Sunderland a few years back, if you guys remember. So maybe there's something to be said there. But again, I go back to the numbers. 9 goal involvements, 2 man of the match performances as a right wing back, only 2 goals as a 10. I look at that and I say that just makes sense to play him on the right, But again, he is young. Young players do tend to want to learn. They do want to be coached. They do want to develop. They are sponges more often than not. Some, not all. So maybe there's an opportunity there for him to learn and develop and really make one of that number 10 role his own, if that's where Amorim sees him. Again, I'm only looking at the numbers and the performances based on the 2 different positions that he's played. So I'm not saying anything's right and wrong. I want you guys to decide. Sometimes the better players in a team are the first ones to be played a little out of position because their skill, their ability to adapt to these new situations they still make them net positives in the starting 11 side. We see Bruno play on the right sometimes, for instance. Pogba has played on the right sometimes. Sometimes you look at the team and you look at the player and you find a way to make it both. Like still having Bruno on the pitch, even if he's out of position, still means like a 75% effective Bruno in a right wing is still better than the other right wings available, for instance, kind of thing. Maybe that's something going on with Ahmad too. Still, the numbers indicate that Ahmad is perhaps way more comfortable and effective even when he's got room on the wing to do his thing. That rhymes. He definitely prefers to cut inside and shoot. His crosses, they just haven't really improved. So I do want to see him work on those crosses, working on getting his head up, working on making the decision sooner. Either you're going to shoot or you're going to find a teammate, but you got to know that before you get to the byline, basically, because by then oftentimes it's way too late. All that being said, though, I mean, there's definitely a case to be made, I think, when you look at these numbers, that could maybe see that Ahmad could be our starting right wing back, especially if Dalot leaves in the summer. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Dalot this summer, but I wouldn't be opposed to Ahmad as the starter, and then someone like a Montato, someone like a Camison coming in as a backup, and we kind of have the right side locked up, the left side locked up with Dorgu, Diego Leon. Mazraoui can play on either side if needed. We see him do that just fine. Maybe the versatility is the name of the game. Bruno's played 2 positions. Xerxes played a couple positions. Mazraoui's played a couple positions. Maybe that's how it works here. Again, maybe I'll change my summer rebuild, and instead of Frimpong, I go for Rayan Cherki and put Ahmad on the right. It's anyone's guess, but again, I laid out the numbers. I laid out the performances on both different positions for Ahmad in this Ruben Amorim system. You guys decide what you think he's best. You've already let me know a little bit in the poll. I let you know some numbers to add a little context and flesh that out. Let me know your thoughts. I want to know what they are. Leave a comment. And you guys know I'll check that out. Please like the video if you haven't yet done so. By the time you got to this little closing thoughts, please subscribe if you're new, if you like what you see. And check the memberships again if you have a good idea, if you want to see some topics thrown out on whether it's questions from a boot or any other upcoming projects. You guys let me know. Check the memberships to learn how you can get more involved. But thanks for listening. Hopefully maybe give you a little better idea of maybe where you lean towards the Ahmad number 10 right wing back debate. Until the next time, enjoy your day, and I will see you later. Bye.